Hey everyone, welcome. I am Busi and this is Donavan. We're going to be doing an amazing series of talks around healing, around this healing space called Soul Oasis Abandance Retreat. And we're going to be sharing with you things that we have learned, things that we have seen in this place happen, things that we have are going to be doing, but we're going to be talking about a lot of topics that involves healing of the mind, healing of the body, healing of the spirit, healing of the emotions. And I will just tell you, the first time when I got to this place and I met Donavan, it felt like home because of what is in the space. And we're going to talk about what is in the space called Soul Oasis Event Retreat, because one of the most important things is that we have to change our energy. So this is like the most amazing space when it comes to energy, and we're going to talk about the fact that there is so many energy vortexes here that can change your vibration, that can allow you to understand yourself better, understand the type of healing you need, but also help you to materialize that healing. So we're gonna be talking about different things in the series. So make sure that you are tuning in. We're gonna be putting up these videos on a weekly basis, and just allow yourself to understand what you can understand. And of course, whenever you get the time, do visit us, and take what works for you and what you resonate with. So Donovan, Donavan is, by the way, Donavan is my business partner. We are working together here at Soul Oasis, where we have our other partner, Leon. He's probably you're never gonna see him on this.
You're just
He's always making sure everything is working well. So, but of course, at some point when you're coming through, you're gonna get to meet him. He's so amazing. Don has such extensive knowledge around spiritual stuff, energy shifting, methodologies, different types of work. He has been learning a lot. He's been doing a lot of work on himself. He's been really researching and finding out about all sorts of things that have to do with healing. So, Don, please say hello.
Right, hello. So I'll give you some background, because I think that everything that we've done in our past leads us to the point where we are at the moment.
Absolutely.
And as soon as you come to terms with even the bad things that happen to you and love yourself the way you are now, you've got to actually love the experiences, whether they were bad or not. So in saying that, we decided to move out to the country after quite a hectic experience in Lone, where we were attacked one morning. Unfortunately, we did not get therapy for it, and literally it spun us out of control because we didn't understand the effects that it would have. But what that did do is actually lead us on a very healing journey, because you've got to come to terms with things like that when it happens to you, and you do take it personally, and you do all that kind of stuff.
Yes, and you ask questions.
Absolutely.
Deeper and harder questions.
Exactly. So anyway, so that led me to a 12-step program, which I found very interesting because, first of all, I worked it and I noticed that I did feel better. So I started beginning to understand that our thoughts create our lives. So however we understand a situation or react to a situation is actually more important than the situation itself.
Yes, the situation is a trigger to finding yourself.
Definitely.
And asking those questions, because you were never going to ask them if the situation did not happen.
Yes.
And I mean, so many of my clients comes through because something horrible has happened, a trauma has happened, and it's either they're trying to cope with it or they are trying to find out why.
Exactly. Yeah, and you do take it personally, as I say, and you're trying to see what you did wrong or how you could have acted differently, and you spin your mind in turmoil. So what has been amazing for me is to actually find out that you can step out of the cage of your own mind at any time.
Wow.
Because your mind is actually the cage as well as the key.
So explain that a little bit. Now I've just experienced a trauma.
Right.
And then it's in my mind and I am suffering now.
Yes.
Because only pain is only physical, but what happens in the mind is suffering.
Absolutely.
So now I'm suffering, but then the situation is not going to, I'm not even trying to change the situation, but then now coming out of that suffering in my mind,
Yeah.
how do we do that?
So basically, what I did discover on the 12-step program is the importance of meditation and prayer.
Absolutely.
So obviously you get in touch with what you feel is a higher power.
Yeah.
Now everybody's higher power will be different, even though most people would call it God or the universe or energy or whatever.
Yeah.
So I prefer not to name the higher power
Yes,
because of
it's
that.
different for everyone.
But then the importance of meditation started coming in, and I started realizing that situations didn't affect me as badly because I was spending just 20 minutes a day quietly meditating and just being able to be in touch with your understanding of why things are happening to you. So I can look back and I can actually then start seeing why the 12-step program would work, because it's very connected to the map of consciousness, which you might have heard of. So the map of consciousness, basically the lower vibrations, which are your heavier, sad, bad feelings, like guilt and blame and apathy and fear even. So I mean, what I realized is we had to raise ourselves from those.
Yes, before for you to start understanding what the healing
Absolutely
to happen, you must come out of that space.
Exactly. And I mean, even if you look at the 10 stages of grief, I think it is, or the 6, whatever it is, when a person passes away, you go through grief. But you actually do grieve any situation that plunges you into
every
fear.
loss. Doesn't matter money. I had that whole 40 million right
Oh yeah,
there.
I remember that one.
I had to go through that process of grieving, because it was a big loss.
Absolutely.
And it went from hitting me physically, which was the bank wanting their money, but also it went into my emotions and my self-confidence and the failure. You thinking, but how can I be so stupid?
Absolutely.
Maybe I should have waited. Maybe I shouldn't have drive the car out.
Yes.
Maybe I should have not booked the ticket. Maybe I should have waited 10 minutes.
Exactly. So I mean, it's even interesting to see when does an experience start. Because I mean, if you look at it, if a person's like in a car accident, when did the process of that start? It didn't start at the crash.
No.
It literally started with the person. Exactly.
At the crash.
And there's so many strange things that happen in doing it for that exact moment at that time on earth, that you then start thinking, well, was it actually an accident, or should I have bought that car, or should I everything, because it all leads on to the next. So,
but then again, the whole thing of you making those decisions was actually leading you to the blessing of the car crash. Because the car crash now is what you are looking at.
Exactly.
And now it's giving you all these why.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and then of course you're talking about meditation and you're talking about 20 minutes.
Yes.
Most of my clients say, because I can't even concentrate 2 minutes.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's the most interesting thing, because a lot of people misconstrue meditation because they think it's shutting down your mind.
Yeah, like don't think.
But exactly.
Like, how am I going to make this mind not think now?
Exactly. But all our thoughts are actually created in our mind, obviously. But then as we play them out is when things start happening. But the energy of that thought is the seed that actually creates it. So it's the emotion, it's energy in motion. So whenever you feel like emotions like that, it is your energy. So when understanding the map of consciousness, for instance, I noticed that as you work your way up, you get to happier and happier experiences.
Absolutely.
Once you're up there, it's actually much easier staying there than getting up there in the first place.
You get used to the good feelings.
Absolutely.
That when they are not there, you want to go back to the good feelings. I mean, that is exactly how I learned to appreciate meditation.
Right.
Because now, at any point when I'm feeling down, I know that, I'm being reminded to raise.
Exactly.
So it's no longer like, why am I feeling so bad? Let me get some alcohol. Why am I feeling so bad? Let me get some sex. That is even gonna make me have more issues in my life.
Exactly.
But then now I know when that feeling that is low come through, I know that I've went down. So what can I do? So meditation is that process of coming back.
Exactly.
What should we be thinking when we're meditating?
Well, you automatically are trying to almost think of nothing, which is extremely difficult to do.
Impossible.
So what I've actually found is very helpful before I go and do my meditation is to sit down and first jot down all the stuff that currently is filling my mind.
Yeah.
Because then once you've got that out on paper, you can think, okay, I know that those thoughts are there.
Yes.
Let me put them aside for now because I know I'm dealing with them. So
Yeah.
you're not automatically walking in
Yeah.
and sitting there thinking, oh, I should have phoned this one, I should have done that, I
Yeah.
should have put the dogs out,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So get your to-do list done first.
Yes.
What I also love doing is first thing in the morning, like literally get out of bed, grab a cup of coffee or anything to get you going. Without questioning it, then sit down for 20 minutes and just do it.
Yeah.
Because then you can say it's done. And when you start your mornings like that.
And all the stresses, you know them.
Yes.
You probably, if it's possible, understand them.
Yes.
Then they're out there in the open.
Exactly.
Then they are not traumatizing you.
Exactly. And you'll possibly even find that when writing them down,
Yeah.
you start forming an answer for them.
Yeah.
So your to-do list actually becomes easier to do once you've spent that time in
I
meditation.
normally call that process of getting out of jail.
Yeah, very good. You might even collect 200 rand for free.
Yes, for free.
Yeah.
So I normally say to myself, oh my goodness, I'm in a jail right now. It's so dark in here.
Exactly.
The emotions are overwhelming and it's so dark, but there is a place where I can go to that is not jail. So let me get out. Maybe I'll come back to jail whenever, but for now I don't need this.
Because your mind is also the key. And that I think so many people do wrong because they don't differentiate between their minds or their bodies or their souls, for instance. So what I found really interesting that stopped me in my thinking like 15 years ago is that we don't have a soul. We are a soul having a human experience.
Yep, we are.
And when you start looking at life like that, it changes things so differently. Because you start also understanding that it's really only the stuff that you do to nourish your soul that you take away with you.
Yes.
It's not your books, it's not your brain,
it's not your money.
It's actually that soul.
Car.
So what are you doing in order to enhance your soul's journey so that your soul does not go back stupid?
Yeah. So now that you're talking about that, so normally we're stressing about the things that are like the car. Well, I got robbed, they took my car. I got sequestrated, they took my house.
Yeah.
Well, I worked hard for this house. I worked hard for this. But now you're saying that is actually not what we're here for. So then why am I stressed about the car and the house?
That's just your question that you can answer. And only once you're there do you actually live through it and experience it. And I mean, a lot of the times you come close. I mean, they say that I think 70% of people are literally 2 checks away from bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So people are living in such an edge like that the minute something does come crashing down, it leads to a huge tower moment, like a total crash.
True.
And what we found is that COVID did that. So what I find really interesting is we moved here to the property in 2015.
Yeah.
And in about 2016, we started looking at the property, which is a hectare. And we started realizing, listen, it would be good if it could earn money for us. So at that stage, everybody was like, wedding venue. But I just didn't want to have to deal with brides and with all that kind of stuff. So I'm like, no ways, let's do something different. So because I had been introduced to meditation, I find it amazing how you do get things that come your way that enhances your journey. So I was also then introduced to labyrinths.
Yes.
So a lot of people don't know what a labyrinth is because they think mazes and labyrinths are the same, and they think of Harry Potter in a labyrinth and they think that's what it is. But essentially, you go into a maze to lose yourself, but you go into a labyrinth to find yourself. So it's a very inward journey. You don't need to worry about the path because there is only one path and you can trust it. So in a maze, you get dead ends and foolery and stuff. In a labyrinth, you can trust your path. So on your way in, you're thinking about all your issues or troubles or hassles or things you need answers to. Or you literally are just walking in saying thank you, thank you. Because gratitude raises your vibe. So the minute you get to the middle, it's then your turn to actually shut up. Which is what I call meditation. Because in my mind, prayer is when you talk and meditation is when you listen. So I found amazing journeys in the labyrinth, and everybody has a different journey because of their own inner circumstances and because the labyrinth experience is different for everyone.
I mean, I can share with you, every time I've walked the labyrinth, I have gotten answers to the biggest questions that I've had in my mind that were traumatizing me. But it's either I'm getting an inspired thought that causes an inspired action,
Right.
that maybe I've been scared of answering that email,
Yes.
and all of a sudden it's like I've went and gotten strength because now I understand how I'm supposed to face this email.
Exactly.
Or maybe I have a person maybe that I need to have a conversation with, and I did not understand how am I going to start this
And then
conversation,
suddenly,
or how do I deal with it. So when I'm walking the labyrinth, it's more like I'm cleansing myself of all the limiting beliefs, of
Exactly.
all the traumas that are making me maybe not want to have the conversation, to clear up things.
Yes.
And then now when I come out, I'm like, no, actually I have strength now.
Yes.
I want to have the talk, and this is how the talk is gonna go.
Exactly.
So I've actually used the labyrinth to even create the energy of the talk. And normally, Donavan, I tell you, when I finish that walk, the person I need to have the talk with will probably call
Arrives.
me
Yes.
or whatever, and they'll be
Exactly.
like, yeah, by the way, I've thought about that thing. Let's forget about it.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I understand what you
It
were
sorts itself.
meaning.
Yes.
And it does sort itself because I've released the trauma that was causing this
Correct.
problem.
And what's interesting is you've also given away your control of it. Because you literally are saying, I can't do this.
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
I know you will.
Yes. And let it happen in its own way.
Exactly.
Let it be easy.
Yeah, and you might land up in such a better place than if you'd organized
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Because if I'm doing it, I am going to really probably mess it up further.
Yes,
I have
exactly.
seen myself and my clients mess up things that could have been solved easily.
Exactly.
But when you don't have the strength, when you don't have the right energy, you keep manifesting the drama.
Exactly.
You keep manifesting the horror. Now maybe you just had a way of paying your debts, but you were sitting and thinking about how much you can't, how much you can't, or how much you can't, and all of a sudden once your energy raises,
Absolutely.
everything just comes walking to you, and be like, well, now
Exactly.
here's the opportunity, and you're like thinking, but I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But you did do something.
Because you started it energetically.
Yes, you changed how you were looking at
Exactly.
the problem and
Yes.
taking responsibility for things you have to take responsibility of.
Correct.
Which is
You're facing up to your responsibilities,
Totally.
which is also necessary.
Yeah.
And Wayne Dyer always says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So it's phenomenal to actually experience that, because you could be living with 2 or 3 or 5 other people, and every one of them is having a different experience.
Yes.
So your universe at the moment is totally different to mine.
Yes,
Because
of course.
I'm looking at you as my Busi, the Busi I see.
Yeah.
But you're different from your own Busi.
Yes.
And the Busi that all your children know and your clients know.
And how I see myself also changes
Exactly.
as I hear things. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, well, I'm broke and what? And then
Yes.
one day I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe I'm not that broke.
Yeah.
And then another day I'm thinking, well, I'm great. I can heal other people. I can stand in the gap for other people.
Yes.
And that I have to create.
Absolutely. And essentially you have already created it. The
Allow it.
minute you hand it over,
Yes.
the universe is already conspiring to give you that thing. Which is why our words and our thoughts are so important. Because if you have an outburst and I don't want this anymore, I don't want that, you better be careful, because the universe might just take it.
And now
or whatever word you want to use for it.
Yeah.
So,
wow. So now, so walking the labyrinth is a meditation.
correct.
And what I love about it is that finally I don't have to think about, am I sitting quietly? Am I not thinking?
Yes.
Because I am thinking, but my thinking is going high. It's taking me high.
Exactly. And you actually are searching in a place that is good to give you answers.
Yeah.
Because you've actually created that space.
Yeah.
And happiness is also an inside job.
Yeah.
So all those things that you are dealing with and hanging on to, I mean, I've heard the saying once, sticking things to, or having things outside of you in order to make you happy, is if you're hungry, taking pieces of bread and sticking it to you.
Yes,
You don't get it inside.
yeah,
So that happiness is an inside job that has to be there first.
Yes.
So it doesn't help you saying, oh, I will be happy when I have this, or when I retire, or when I'm on holiday.
Yeah.
The time is now to be happy, and you have to ensure that you make that decision every morning.
I mean, I teach a lot of manifestation class. I help people with money all the time. I have never given anybody money.
Right.
But because I had the opportunity of learning how to change your vibration so that the money can come to you.
Yeah, we experienced that.
Yeah. So when I'm talking to a person, I am not talking to them and looking at their bank account and saying, your bank account is bad. How do you put money there?
Yeah.
I'm saying to them, let's change inside of you, whatever that created the lack.
Exactly.
Let's shift that.
Yes.
We are shifting that lack inside of you. And all of a sudden, when the lack is not there, opposite of the lack is going to take its place. So the labyrinth is, how long is the labyrinth?
So what's interesting is I've built a 7-tier labyrinth, which means it's got 7 rings outwards that you walk on. The journey inward and out, because once you've been in the middle, the idea is that you walk your answers into your path. So you need to follow the same route out. So in and out, it's a total of 750 meters.
Yeah, almost a kilometer. So if you ever think that you haven't exercised enough, come through and walk the labyrinth.
Absolutely. And you can exercise your soul as well.
Yes, exercise your soul and your body and your mind.
Yes.
And of course, what are the benefits of the labyrinth?
What I found is that we've even started building them, or suggested building them at schools, because they say that it calms children down, and it just also shows them. And I mean, we built one labyrinth at the Riverfield Lodge. Sorry, will you cut this? We built a labyrinth at Riverfield Lodge, the Life Hospital, and they found it amazing because of the opportunity it gives for their patients to walk and to connect. So it's a very healing space, which in my 25 or more years of working as a landscape architect, nobody taught me how to create a healing space. So now if you think to yourself, what differentiates a garden from a healing space? It's literally by bringing in elements that cause healing, like possibly bringing in plants that are very therapeutic, or that you can smell on the way, or getting in touch with your senses brings you back to now. So the labyrinth is a walk like that, because there's nothing to provoke or to grab your senses. So you can look calmly around you, and if answers come from outside of you, like in the form, if you've asked for a sign and you suddenly find a feather, or if, like once I had a question about somebody who I thought was leaving our lives, and they said, look, as I walked, I looked up to the sky, and I saw an aeroplane going that way and another plane going that way. And I thought to myself, the paths crossed very briefly. They had to carry on their own journeys. But they always have that opportunity to come back to that airport.
The path is always
and that airport is always there. So that to me was just such an answer, and it was such a clear answer at that stage. So I just find that it helps you connect better with that intuition inside of you, that sixth sense. Because we need to actually trust our inner voice more often.
And you know, another benefit that walking the labyrinth has given me was my spiritual teacher always says the future doesn't exist.
Right.
The past doesn't exist. Now, if you live in the past, you are going to manifest where most of the things that in our past are mostly things that we don't like.
Right.
But if you are living in the future also, you're going to be under so much depression and anxiety because you don't know what's going to happen next.
Exactly.
The only thing that exists is the current moment.
Absolutely.
So most of us never comes back to now.
Yes.
We're always thinking the next appointment, the next payment, the next January, the next whatever. Will I be able to survive? Will I be able to survive? But you are not in January.
Exactly.
You are far from that January.
And you align it to ruin your
Yes,
now.
and there's so many days between you now and that January, and so much can change.
Exactly.
Opportunities can come and things can change, but you are worried about that day in January that you will suffer. But then what you're doing now is that you are creating now
That's suffering.
That suffering.
Yes.
And when the suffering finally comes, you are then shocked.
Yes.
So if you try to continually live in the present, you are able to then say, in the present right now, I have eaten, I have a roof over my head.
Exactly.
Even the things that are going wrong, I can see them, but what is going right?
Correct.
And now walking the labyrinth helps specifically me come back to this now moment,
Refocus.
this now, and I'm no longer in the past. The past has happened. Whatever that has happened, thank goodness I'm no longer there.
Yes.
Whatever that is gonna happen in the future, I wish for these and these and these things, and if whatever happens is okay, it will be then. I will have to deal with it when
Yes,
it comes.
exactly.
But what does matter is that I'm here, and I've seen that does a lot of healing.
Definitely.
Gives the answers to what I need, but also gives me strength, because in the present moment I have power to create.
Exactly.
And the labyrinth is that space. I mean, you probably will take how long? An hour or two?
Yo, I've been in there for several hours. But I actually timed the other day. It was a casual walk in with some time in the middle and out. It's at least half an hour.
Yeah.
I've sometimes sat in the middle for up to an hour, just journaling or losing myself in thought and that.
Yes. So it's an amazing space to come and live your troubles.
Yes.
It is he said he created a healing space, a healing environment, which totally works. And we're gonna talk about more things, because also in that labyrinth there's a vortex that is totally amazing. He's gonna explain that in the next episode, so watch out and so that you can learn what is a vortex and what does a vortex do. But just for now, we're talking about the fact that labyrinth has so much power to help you do your meditation without trying to do the meditation. But the labyrinth is almost like holding your hand through that process.
Exactly, because in a way, if you think about it, it's what I spoke about, that to-do list.
Yeah.
Your way in is almost like your to-do list, the stuff that's bogging your mind down.
Yes.
So essentially, we're trying to shut your mind so you can hear your soul.
Yeah.
And that's where the answers come from, in order to help the mind as well.
Yeah.
Because you mustn't believe everything you think.
No, you cannot, because my goodness, we think stuff that is in January, I'm definitely probably gonna die of cancer.
Exactly, all that. And I mean, so it's like, it's all that stuff that's bogging you. And what amazes me is that nobody can actually come between you and that inner voice.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're sitting there telling things in your head that I have got no idea about, you could be being so ugly to yourself at the moment.
Yes.
I said to someone the other day, you need to actually be your own best friend in your head.
Yeah.
Because I mean, some days
and
I
you
wouldn't.
have to create the relationship between you and yourself.
Exactly.
And that's what the labyrinth does.
Yes.
It helps you to create that relationship. You finally can see yourself how you see yourself.
And trust yourself.
Absolutely.
Because so many people don't. Because they just think, oh, I thought that out, it must be wrong.
Yeah.
Instead of heading for it, because you were given that thought as an intuitive way forward.
Yeah.
So they often say too that when you ask the universe or God for help, you need to get out the way.
Yep, so that God can take over. If you don't, God is gonna be like, well, tell me the day you're ready.
Exactly. And honestly, it's crazy sometimes when you think how we sabotage ourselves.
Yeah.
Mainly in our mind.
Yeah. And that another benefit for me is that I've seen that when I have something that I want to manifest, so I'm always in my head getting behind or in front of what I'm supposed to be manifesting. So what I normally will do then is that I'm thinking, well, I want to manifest this, but I won't have enough money for it to work. I don't.
Yes.
So I have all these fears, doubts that are bombarding this manifestation, because now I'm thinking, if I want to lose weight, but will I be able to do the 21 days of squatting?
Christmas is coming, and then it's Easter,
Yes.
and then it's chocolate.
Yeah, and then it's just like, I've never seen myself really do it. Will I be able to stay away from this and this and that? But when you are in the labyrinth for that hour, you have stopped all that mess.
Yes, it's your inner space.
Because once you enter the labyrinth, you now know that I'm working with me.
Yes.
So all these things that could be blocking the manifestation stops working. So you literally have stopped the devil's work.
Right.
And you give yourself this 1 hour, and that 1 hour, every second is thousands of years.
Right.
So you've given yourself enough time to sit in a space that is safe and manifest what you want.
Exactly.
So walking the labyrinth could be something that you do once a month. Could be something that you do maybe once a week. Could be but depending. I've read a lot of spiritual teacher says, if you don't have time, then you need to meditate more.
Exactly.
If you have enough time, then you can meditate for 10 minutes. But if you don't have time, you need an hour.
Exactly. And also what's interesting is if I don't use the Labyrinth, say 2 or 3 days go past, let me tell you, the people around me suggest I use the Labyrinth.
Yes.
Even my dogs are
now
calmer. Even my dogs are calmer when I've used the Labyrinth.
Yeah,
That's
because
crazy.
you are much more in alignment.
And it's your looking out at it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And of course, I think one other thing, probably before we finish, is that whole thing of we get what we are aligned to.
Correct.
So the more we allow the environment, which is somebody stopped at the wrong place and you almost bumped them, the taxis cut you off, your mother-in-law doesn't want you to cook the potato salad, your husband is just not doesn't want to buy wants us to buy the TV, or your kids are, whatever, your friends are jealous, your boss is horrible, is the devil,
right?
So all these things, when they keep happening to us, we then sort of learn that that's how life is.
Yes.
So we need a break from those environments.
Absolutely.
That's why I said the first time when I walked in here, it felt like home, because of the energy was different from my experiences around me. And I was like, oh yeah, it feels like I don't have problems.
Right.
It feels like that my problems I left them at the gate.
Right.
But I can now decide if I'm gonna pick them up when I'm leaving.
Exactly.
But then what others I probably will pick one or two. But
and some might have disappeared by then.
Yeah, but most of them, they've given up on me by the time I
exactly. They've already taken the trash away.
Oh, well, I'm definitely not gonna work with this one. But it's because I've given myself that time.
Yes.
So this space is for healing, and healing is so simple, but it is one of the things that we are scared to do.
Absolutely.
So it needs investment in terms of time.
Yes.
So do come through, walk the labyrinth, and just see what happens after you've walked it. I've seen so many people walk it and they come out different. Yes. That's another thing. You walk in one person, you come out a different person.
Absolutely. And you can never actually tell a person it is like this.
No.
I prefer not to tell people what I've experienced or what I think they will experience.
Yes.
Because it's their journey. True. It's going to be totally different to mine.
Yeah.
So instead of me saying, oh, expect this or do that, you have to go totally open-minded and just go and experience it.
And for everyone, it's because all of us, we deal with ourselves in different ways.
Yes.
And you just need to know how you deal with yourself, and that labyrinth has that ability to teach you how to deal with yourself.
Absolutely.
Like I said, when I'm down, I'm no longer scared of being depressed or being down or feeling bad, because I know how to pick myself up. So I've learned how to deal with myself. So if a person comes and irritates me or offends me or triggers me, I don't worry anymore.
Yes.
Because I know how to fix that within me.
Absolutely. Or you just don't bother because you know it's their nonsense.
Yes. Sometimes you just know, well, this is you doing you.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with me.
Exactly.
Wow. So if someone wants to come through and express the labyrinth, what should they do?
Well, basically, you can pop onto our Facebook page, which is Solo Oasis Urban Retreat. You'll find us in Centurion. We're about a kilometer from Copperleaf Golf Estate. We're on a 1 hectare property, and you can basically either access us on either Instagram or Facebook, or I'll give Busi a
send a DM on Instagram. Probably that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
Or send an inbox and do a booking. But I'm also gonna just put our phone numbers on the comment section so that you can be able to book. So you can book for yourself just to come and have a one full day of just. There are so many other activities which we're going to discuss in the future videos of what we are doing that are for healing purposes, and it's from physical to emotional to mental health, all this kind of stuff. But you can book yourself a session to come walk the labyrinth, and you can do it with you can do it with your kids, your family, you can do it with your friends, or just by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about connecting, and if you just connect to yourself, you've connected.
Yeah. And we also have classes, meditation, and all this kind of stuff. So when you of course look at look into our Instagram page and Facebook page, you will see all the other activities that we have that are all about healing. And it doesn't matter what healing you need, all healing is healing. It's a process, and you have to give yourself the time. That's one self-love thing that you can do. Give yourself a break.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we've come to an end of this episode. So we're gonna be doing several of these episodes. Please make sure that you like, you subscribe, you share with others, you go and research what is a labyrinth. Why should I be doing one? And why should I be walking it? And you will understand even more. By the time you come through, you will have more knowledge of it and knowing what can you expect out of it. And of course, we did say, do not again control the process. Let the process heal you. Let the process take care of you. Thank you, Donavan.
Thank you so much, Busi.
Of course, I love to always talk these things with you. Me and Donavan sits for hours and talk about all sorts of things under the sun. I mean, when I met Donavan and Leon, I told them that I had brothers, two brothers, and my brothers passed away several years ago, and I feel like now I found them.
Absolutely.
Like God, just like, oh, when you lost your brothers, you've been crying about. There you go.
Oh,
so,
that's great.
oh my goodness, thank you so much.
It's going to be an adventure of note.
Yeah, truly. Thank you so much, you guys. Have
so
a
much.
lovely day. Please share on the comment section what you would like us to discuss in terms of spirituality, in terms of healing, in terms of energy. If you have any questions that you would like us to maybe do another video on, and questions that you want to answer, or things that you're going through, send us an inbox if you want, if it's private information. And just make sure that you find somebody you can lean on. Find somebody that can hold your hand when you're going through things. We are here for that. This is a healing space. This is a place that we on a daily basis work on this place to make sure that it is a sanctuary for healing. So contact us, come visit us. We also are having online programs. I have online programs around money and all things, improving self, improving your state of consciousness, improving your manifestation processes. So make sure that you contact us. Have a lovely day.
Cheers.
Thanks.